Hello. Did you know that magic can sometimes happen on Christmas? It's true. I want to tell you the story about a time when Christmas magic happened. A long time ago, an old woman named Tante lived in a little cottage out in the middle of the forest. She didn't live alone, though. She had a dog and a cat, a chicken and a rooster, so she could always have eggs for breakfast. And because it was a long time ago and there were no cars, she had a donkey to help get her around. And when it started to get cold, when the snow started to fall, Tante would sit in her chair and rub her hands together, just like this. Can you rub your hands together like this? She would rub her hands together and say, "It's time to clean for Christmas." Clean for Christmas? What does that mean? Well, she got out her trusty broom and she started to clean. She swept the floor, sweep, 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 sweep. Oh, the dog and the cat had been sleeping in the bed, so she swept out all the hair and changed the sheets. She swept out the fireplace, all that ash and soot. She cleaned the table. She washed the windows. She even climbed up on a chair and swept all the spider webs out of the ceiling. And when she was all done, she sat back down in her chair. She rubbed her hands together and said, "Now it's time to get Christmas." Get Christmas? What does that mean? Well, she jumped on her donkey and she grabbed her trusty axe. And then she went out into the forest. When she saw this tree, she said, "Oh, that's a very impressive tree, but I think it's too big for my little house." Then she saw this tree and she said, "Oh, that's a beautiful color, but it looks a little crooked and it's a little small." Then she saw this tree and she knew that that was the perfect tree for her house. So she grabbed her axe and went chop, 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 timber! And with the help of the donkey, she brought the tree back to her house. There we go. And so when the tree was all set up, she sat back down in her chair, looked at the beautiful tree, and rubbed her hands together and said, "Now it's time to make Christmas." Make Christmas? Well, what does that mean? Well, Tante got busy in the kitchen. She started working really hard, making treats, making delicious treats. And when she was all done, she tied all those treats together and hung them on the tree. There were Christmas cookies and gingerbread people. There were bones for the dog and catnip for the cat. There were seeds for the chicken and the rooster and apples for the donkey. When Tante was done the tree, she looked up at it, rubbed her hands together, and said, "Now it's time to share Christmas." Share Christmas? What does that mean? Well, she invited the little boys and girls who lived in the nearby village to come and see the tree. And the little boys and girls loved the tree. They said, "Oh, Tante, this is the most beautiful tree we've ever seen." And all the little boys and girls got to take a treat from the tree before they went home. And as it got later and the kids went home to sleep, Tante invited the animals from the forest to come and see her tree as well. And even the animals agreed. that it was the most beautiful Christmas tree they had ever seen. And as it got later, the animals returned to the forest. The dog and the cat curled up in her bed and went to sleep. The chicken and the rooster settled in for the night. And the donkey had one more apple and then laid down to sleep. And when it was just Tante awake, she looked up at her beautiful Christmas tree and rubbed her hands together and said, "Now it's time to wait for Christmas." Wait for Christmas? What does that mean? Well, she waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited some more until Tante had fallen asleep. And because she was asleep, she couldn't hear the little voices calling out to her. "Tante, Tante, let us in, let us in. We want to see the tree too." Do you know who it was? It was the spiders. The spiders that Tante had shooed out of her house were outside her door, wanting to be let back in. "Tante, Tante, please let us in, let us in. We want to see the tree too." But Tante couldn't hear. But someone did hear. Someone flying overhead heard. Can you guess who? That's right. Santa heard. Santa landed and said, "What's going on? What's all this commotion about?" And the spider said, "Oh, Santa, we heard Tante has the most beautiful tree. We want to see it just for 1 second, please, Santa. Oh, please, please, please." So Santa thought for a second, then opened the door, and the spiders rushed in. They went up and down and left and right, and they saw every single thing on that tree. And when they were all done, they agreed that it was the most beautiful tree they'd ever seen too, but they left something behind. They left a sticky spider web behind, and it covered the whole tree. When Santa came in to look at the tree, he said, "Oh no! Tante will be so upset. Her beautiful tree has been ruined." He felt so terrible, he walked over to the tree and touched each of the spider webs. And after he'd left, something incredible happened. All the spider webs transformed into silver and gold. And in the morning when Tante woke up, she couldn't believe her eyes. Somehow, her beautiful Christmas tree had become even more beautiful. "What's happened?" she said. "Who's done this?" But she never found out. She never knew about the spiders, and she never knew about Santa. All she knew was that it had been Christmas magic. And did you know that some people still hang things on their tree to remind them of the day of Christmas magic? We call it tinsel. And this is to help remind us of the day when the spiders visited Tante and Santa made Christmas magic. The end.
Hi friends, I'm Lindsay from the St. Albert Public Library, and I'm sitting here beside our beautiful Christmas tree. I'm sure lots of you at home have got your Christmas trees set up and decorated, and I want to tell you today about why we have Christmas trees in our house. So a long time ago, long before there was even a St. Albert, people used to bring evergreen boughs into their homes, so the branches from Christmas trees. And they would decorate their houses with these evergreen boughs to remind them that even in the darkest part of winter, eventually the sun would come back and things would be green again. So people didn't start bringing the whole tree into their house until about 400 years ago in Germany. And there were two different parts to the tradition then. So people would bring the tree inside and decorate it with apples and cookies and paper flowers and candles. And they would also have a little decoration called a Christmas pyramid. And that was made out of wood, and it looked a bit like a Christmas tree. It had different layers, and it was decorated with different figures from the Nativity. So there would be a little wooden baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph and the wise men and animals. And even now, people in Germany have Christmas pyramids, but they might be decorated with things like Santa and snowflakes and polar bears and things like that instead. And eventually, those two things became just the Christmas tree and had all different kinds of decorations on them. So I'm sure that you have some special decorations on your tree, maybe something that reminds you of a trip you took with your family or something that you made. And in Ukraine, lots of people hang spider decorations on their Christmas tree. And that comes from a story about a spider who wove a beautiful web all over the Christmas trees that turned into gold and silver. And that's why we decorate with tinsel now. Every year, there's a famous tree that you might have seen on TV, and it's huge and decorated with all kinds of lights in New York City in front of a building called the Rockefeller Center. And it's known as the Rockefeller Tree. It is so big and has so many lights that if you stretched out that string of lights, it would go all the way from the downtown library to Jensen Lake's library and back again. There are about 50,000 lights on that tree. Can you imagine? Christmas trees didn't really get popular in Canada until about 250 years ago. And that's when the Queen of England decorated a Christmas tree at her castle. And there was a very famous picture that someone drew of that tree that ended up in all the magazines across England and Canada. And that's when people saw it and thought, ooh, we want to be like the Queen. We are going to decorate a Christmas tree. And that's when they started to put presents underneath the tree as well. And a long time ago, people say that they used to hang their Christmas trees upside down from the ceiling. And even now in Windsor Castle, where Queen Elizabeth lives, there is a tree that they decorate like that every year. Can you imagine? I guess it would be good if you had cats that wouldn't leave the Christmas tree alone. In some parts of the world where it doesn't get cold in the winter, they don't have fir trees like we do, so they decorate different kinds of trees. In India, some people decorate banana trees. And all the way across the world in New Zealand, there's a special tree called the Pohutakowana tree. And it's also known as the New Zealand Christmas tree because at Christmas time, it blooms with beautiful red flowers. I think no matter what kind of Christmas tree you have, the best part is what goes underneath. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hi, my name is Charity, and I work at the St. Albert Public Library. I have a special way that I like to sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and I'm hoping that you can do the actions along with me. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to stand up. We are going to stand up, and we're going to do a little clapping, like we're cheering on all of the holiday elves who are getting Christmas ready for us. Are you ready to do some clapping with me? Awesome. Goes like this. Let's all do a little clapping. Let's all do a little clapping. Let's all do a little clapping to spread Christmas cheer. You know what I think is really cheerful? I like to decorate the tree. That brings me a lot of cheer. So maybe we can reach way up high, like we get to put the star on top. Do you think you can reach way up high with me? Here we go. Let's all do a little reaching. Let's all do a little reaching. Let's all do a little reaching to spread Christmas cheer. Excellent. Do you know what? I think it may be snowing. It's really cheerful to go outside and twirl in the snow. Let's be really careful to stay in our spaces and twirl carefully. Here we go. Let's all do a little twirling. Let's all do a little twirling. Let's all do a little twirling to spread Christmas cheer. If it's snowing, I really think we should go tobogganing. Tobogganing is so much fun. To go tobogganing, we're going to have to bend down low, like we're getting on our toboggans. You ready to do some bending? Let's all do a little bending. Let's all do a little bending. Let's all do a little bending to spread Christmas cheer. Brrr. Being out tobogganing has made me so chilly. I really want to get back home to my house where it's cozy, but it's so far away. I think we're going to have to march up the hill and back to our houses. Can you march with me? Let's all do a little marching. Let's all do a little marching. Let's all do a little marching to spread Christmas cheer. Great. We're back at home, but I can't go in the house with this much snow on my boots. I think I'm going to have to stomp it off. Let's do a little stomping. Let's all do a little stomping. Let's all do a little stomping. Let's all do a little stomping to spread Christmas cheer. Whew! I'm back inside, but that really tuckered me out. I think there's only one thing left to do. I think we should sit back down. And I think it would be great to take a nap. Ready to do a little napping with me? Let's all do a little napping. Let's all do a little napping. Let's all do a little napping to spread Christmas cheer. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for counting down with us. We are wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.